Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Village's Education Advisory Board meeting. It is Monday, August 13th at 6 p.m., and I am now calling this meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I will now continue with the roll call. Stephen Brown. Here. Please speak into the microphone and have your light lit. Thank you.
Present.
Crystal Clark.
Present.
Julie Highsmith.
Present.
Dwayne St. Hill.
Present.
Bill Talamer.
Present.
And the board alternate, Pamela Shetka, is in the audience as well. We have Councilman Jeff Hamera, who is the council liaison, and he would like to say a few words to the board before we begin the agenda. So, Councilman.
Thank you, Diane. And I want to start off by thanking you all for volunteering to take on this task, which, from having talked with you individually, I know you know how important it is to ensure that our schools are as good as they possibly can be, and hopefully you've got some ideas to the kind of impact that this Education Advisory Board can actually have on the quality of the education here in Royal Palm Beach. I definitely do appreciate, and I want to extend the appreciation of the mayor and the other council members to you all for volunteering your time and your expertise to this effort. We have an interesting history of work in this regard, and in fact, the Education Advisory Board here in Royal Palm Beach has kind of been held up as a model of how to influence activities in the school system in a informal relationship way that is remarkably effective. And it comes through mostly a very collegial, a very cooperative, a very collaborative kind of an effort between the individual members of the Education Advisory Board, the leadership of the schools here in Royal Palm Beach, school district members who you will see on a regular basis, as well as, of course, our school board member who also shows up at the meetings on a regular basis. So we have the framework. We now have a reconstituted board of new members with new insights, with what we'd like to think is kind of an optimum mix of membership, which is a combination of parents who have students in our Royal Palm Beach school, along with individuals who are career professional educators. So I think we got a great combination. I think we have a year of interesting opportunities ahead of us. And so once again, I want to thank you all for volunteering your time.
Thank you, Councilman. I'll begin with item number 1. Will be a brief introduction of the board members, and we will start with Stephen Brown.
Good evening.
Excuse me, please speak into the microphone. And
Sorry. Good evening. I came to Royal Palm Beach in 2004. I lived here with the intention of working after retiring from the Department of Ed in New York City, where I worked from '72 till 2004. I did a clinical track. I became a psychologist, hated it, then recertified as a counselor, and did student personnel services and just general counseling duties that are related to administrative, and in terms of the administration of 4 schools, because I was itinerant. So I was responsible for stand-up training for most abuse and neglect issues, as well as the bullying initiative that was begun in 2008. And I'm here. I like being in schools. And that's about it. Spent my life in them.
Crystal.
Crystal Clark. I moved to Royal Palm here in February. It's just from down the street, Palm Beach Gardens, where I was for 10 years. I started in education as a daycare provider in my home. I eventually started working in the school district as a hall monitor and got my degree, and then started teaching in the school district. And I worked for the school board. I was on the school board of the neighboring district while I was teaching in another district. For 6 years, I was on the school board, and for 2 years, I was the president of the board. I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother. My grands aren't in Royal Palm, but they're in Palm Beach Gardens District. But it's a county district, so we all got to work together. Looking forward to having some impact, especially in the area of curriculum, because moving from Illinois, my grandchildren were advanced. By the time they took the FCAT, they were up a grade or so, coming from Illinois to Florida. So looking to see the curriculum in the district here come up.
Thank you, Crystal. Julie?
I'm Julie. I'm a parent. My kids go to H.L. Johnson. I'm the PTO president there. I'm on SAC. So I'm just like to be involved with their education, and that's why I volunteered for this.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, name's Dwayne St. Hill. I've been in Florida for the past 8 years. I moved to Royal Palm 6 years ago. I have a son here. He's in 3rd grade as of today, and he is over at Royal Palm Beach Elementary. I volunteer with the PTO there. I'm on the SAC committee there also and part of the Watchdogs program. I also work with the high school wrestling team as an assistant coach also, volunteer assistant coach, and help out everywhere else. That's me.
Bill?
Hi, everyone. I'm Bill Tolomer. I've been down here 7 years now, and it's my 25th year in education. So I was a 2nd grade teacher, a 6th grade teacher, and a 10th grade teacher. Also a college faculty member. I've been a college president for a while, and then worked in student services, much like you, Stephen. So great field, and this is my 15th school board. So I'm excited about this one because some of the constraints that are on other school boards, as you well know, Crystal, are not here. So it's good to be excited and kind of think about what we do. I'm a leadership consultant, and I'm also part of the Watchdogs. The dog program is the Dads of Great Students program, where dad volunteers are coming in, and Dwayne and I met at the Royal Palm Beach Elementary and did that together. So lots of involvement, and looking forward to working with a really good, solid group of people to work for our students.
Pamela, would you like to come up to the... Thank you.
I'm Pam Shetka. My son is 8. He goes to H.L. Johnson as well. I have a 3.5-year-old that hasn't even begun school yet, so they have me for quite a while. I'm very involved in my son's school. I've been on PTO with Julie for the past 2 years now, 2 years. Treasurer for a couple of years. We do Team Green together. I do garden committee with another fellow mom. We kind of pitch in wherever we can. But we're very involved with that school, and we look forward to doing the Watchdog program I hear this year, and we'll make it a great year. So I'm looking forward to actually being attached to a different school so we can learn more from one of them. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Pamela. We will move on to item number 2. The village attorney, Jennifer Ashton, is here to give an overview of the Sunshine Law, Public Records Law, and Robert's Rules of Order. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you. I'm used to the microphone being here. Welcome, everyone. We are so excited to have our new Education Advisory Board. I know, as Councilman Hemera said, the rest of the council is thrilled to have you all. So thank you again for your volunteering. We really do appreciate it. As Diane said, my name is Jennifer Ashton. I am the village attorney. Since we are starting this board anew, we thought it would be a really good time to come in and talk to you about a few laws that you need to be aware of. None of these laws are meant to scare anyone. It's just you need to be aware, especially because some of you, from the sound of it, have met each other before and work with each other on PTOs or SACs. So there are some laws that you just need to be aware of. I'm going to go through them, and then at the end of the presentation, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I'm happy to answer anything that you may be thinking about. So we're going to cover 3 things tonight: the Sunshine Law, the Public Records Law, and Robert's Rules of Order. I'm going to take them in order, and again, at the end, if you have questions on any of those topics, please feel free to ask them. We'll start with the Florida Sunshine Law. That law is found in Florida Statute Section 286.011. And the main point of the Sunshine Law is that all public business has to be done at a public meeting. No secret deals, no behind-the-door handshakes. All actions of this board have to be done at a publicly noticed public meeting. So the question I always get is, well, how do you know if you're running into a violation? What are you supposed to be looking for? The Sunshine Law is very specific. It takes 2 or more of you meeting in private, discussing some action that this board could vote on. So just be aware that that interaction could happen in a formal or a casual setting. It could be in person. It could be by email. It could be by text message. It could be on the phone. Just be aware that if 2 or more of you are talking, don't talk about EAB business. If you're serving on a PTO or a SAC, that's fine, and you're serving together and working together, that's not a big deal. Just make sure that your conversations don't involve anything that you could vote on here. So I don't want to alarm anyone that, if you see somebody at another meeting or you see one of your fellow board members at the grocery store, you're allowed to talk to them, you're allowed to say hi, you're allowed to interact. Just keep your conversations away from this board's business, because again, your business has to be done here at a public meeting. So some things also to be aware of: if you are having to email staff or your council liaison, if you have a question, try to refrain from copying other board members on your emails. What we've noticed in the past is people just accidentally will hit reply all, and then before you know it, you have a back and forth between board members about board issues, and we don't want anybody to inadvertently violate the Sunshine Law. So just refrain from copying your fellow board members on emails or hitting reply all if you do see board members copied on them. But again, you're not prohibited from talking to staff or your council liaison or me or the village manager. That Sunshine Law doesn't cover those types of conversations. It's only when 2 or more of you are talking. So the penalties, if there is a violation of the Sunshine Law, it is a 2nd-degree misdemeanor. There are fines and monetary penalties associated with it, and any action taken in violation of the law would be deemed void. So again, the goal, make sure all public business is done right here, not elsewhere. Going on to the Florida Public Records Law, that is found in Chapter 119 of the Florida Statutes. And what that law basically says is any citizen in the state of Florida has the right to inspect or copy village public records within a reasonable amount of time. So you may think, well, how am I involved with that? Well, any records that you generate in the course of your board duties could be considered public records, depending on what they are. So if you're sending emails as a board member, maybe to set up a meeting with a principal at a school, that could be considered a public record. Any notes you're taking during meetings, or any notes you may have with a principal or anything else involving EAB business, that could be considered a public record. It's not a big deal. It's just something you need to be aware of, because there's certain rules if you generate public records. Number 1, don't destroy them. So keep them. Please don't delete or destroy anything that could be a public record. So if you have emails about EAB business or notes or other letters, keep all of those things, because at the end of the day, the village clerk may have to contact you at some point through a public records request and ask if you have anything. And if you do have something, you have to produce it. It's not a big deal. It's just something to be aware of. When you get to the end of your service with the EAB, hopefully no time soon, but someday you may want to retire and step down. The good thing to do is take any records that you maybe have generated and then give them to the village clerk, because then you don't have to be responsible for them anymore. It's always helpful just to pass them on to the clerk, and then you can wipe your hands and go, okay, I have no more responsibility on this. The village clerk's office, as I said before, is the one responsible for responding to public records requests. So if by some chance you were to receive a public records request, maybe an email or somebody walks up to you and asks you for records, immediately direct that person to the clerk's office. Do not answer that public records request yourself. The clerk is the records custodian for the village, and she knows all the rules and regulations, and it's just smarter to forward that person on. You can do that in a very nice way, like, I'm not the records custodian, I'll be happy to forward your request, please contact the clerk's office, she'll be happy to help you. That's the easiest way that we can keep track of all public records requests. Okay. All right, so I think that covers the public records law. The last topic I wanted to cover with y'all tonight is Robert's Rules of Order. Now, if any of you, I've heard some of you serve on other boards, some of you may have served on school boards or HOAs or POA boards. Robert's Rules are a pretty common thing in this country. They are used to maintain decorum at public meetings. They're not meant to obstruct conversation or obstruct an outcome, but they are in an effort to make sure that one person or multiple people don't dominate an entire conversation. Although they're called rules of order, sometimes with our local government process, it doesn't quite fit. There are a lot of rules, and we kind of follow a simplified version of Robert's Rules. So you hear Robert's Rules, but in all honesty, you're not going to pull out your parliamentary guide and go, on page 6 it says I have to stand and raise my left hand and say, Chair, I have a question. We don't go that formal. We are much more informal with our Robert's Rules. And again, the point is to maintain decorum. We also follow them more like guidelines. So don't feel that there's this restriction on you that you have to follow this specific rule of procedure. I do want to go over a few of them with you that you're going to encounter quite often. The first is, how do you make a motion? How do you take action? So we do everything official action by a motion, a second, and a vote. Motion's very easy. If you want to make a motion on something, you want to take action, you would say, Mr. Chair or Madam Chair, I have a motion. I'd want to make a motion on the following topic. You need a fellow board member to second your motion to move it forward. So that board member would then say, I second the motion. Once there's a motion and a second, the board can have discussion on the motion. And once the chair feels that there's been enough discussion, the chair can do what we call the question. There's 2 ways to call a question. One, the chair just says, all right, I'm ready. I think we've had enough discussion. I'm going to call the question. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0 or whatever the vote happens to be. That's the most common way. Another way to call the question is the chair can ask for a roll call vote. If this is used a lot when the chair maybe is getting a sense that the vote may be close based on the conversation that's occurring. And then the chair can turn to the clerk and ask for a roll call. And the clerk will go through each board member and ask for your specific vote. That way the record is accurate as to who voted in which way. Okay, so who can make a motion? All board members, when you're sitting up here, can make a motion. Your alternate does not make a motion unless they're up here on the dais. Now, there is an exception to that rule. Whoever becomes your chair generally cannot make a motion. In order for a chair to make a motion, they actually have to pass their fake gavel. I don't think we have a real one up there. Do you have one? Okay. Pass the gavel over to the vice chair. The vice chair then will take over running the meeting for that item because the chair has relinquished their power for that item. I don't recommend the chair do that often. It gets very confusing when you're passing the gavel back and forth. So if the chair were to make a motion, that should be used in an extraordinary circumstance. Although the chair can't make a motion, the chair can always second a motion. But there are no restrictions on any other board members, even the vice chair, unless for some reason the vice chair takes over the chair's duties. Okay, so a question comes up occasionally. Are you required to vote for a motion in favor of a motion if you've made the motion or you seconded the motion? And the answer is no. A lot of times people will make a motion or second it just for discussion. They want to go ahead and have the discussion. And they may get through the discussion with the rest of their board members and realize, I don't really like that idea after all. I'm going to vote no. And that's perfectly acceptable. You're not required to vote yes just because you made the motion or you seconded the motion. So the next topic is, how do you withdraw a motion? Say you made a motion and you think about it a few minutes later and you go, I don't want to do this. I don't even want to take a vote on this. This was a bad idea. All you would need to say is, Mr. Chair or Madam Chair, I'd like to withdraw my motion. That motion will be withdrawn as long as the person who seconded it agrees with you. If the person who seconded the motion doesn't agree to withdraw, it stays as is and you vote on it as is. But if they do agree to withdraw with you, it's dead. It's done. You don't have to vote on it. The exact same process is used if you're going to try to amend one of your motions. Say you get into discussion, and this happens a lot at our council meetings. Somebody will make a motion, it will be seconded, And then another council person will step in and go, I would be okay with this motion if it said this instead. And if you feel like you can get consensus that way, sometimes the maker of the motion would say, I'd be agreeable to amending my motion to say that so we could get this passed. And they can say, Mr. Chair or Madam Chair, I would like to amend my motion to say that. That's fine. You can do that as long as the person who seconded the motion agrees to the amendment. Most of the time, I find that people do agree. You'd rather have a vote in favor of something than a split vote. Again, if the person who made the second doesn't agree to amend, then it stays as is and you vote on it as is. If you want, I'm going to move on to another topic. What if you want to postpone an item to a time certain? Say you get involved in a discussion and it's a really good discussion and you're just running out of time, you're tired, you've been going at it for a while, or you need additional information before you all can make a decision. How do you handle that? An easy way to handle that is you would make a motion to postpone it to another date and time. And you would say the date and time so that you don't have to do any more public notice for it. If you announce the date and time at this meeting, you don't have to then notice it again. Under Robert's rules, you'll hear occasionally people in government meetings a lot, they'll say, I want to make a motion to table something. Stay away from that language because it gets confusing when you actually lay something on the table under Robert's rules. You have to have another motion later to take it off the table. The easiest thing to do is just postpone it. So that happens sometimes if the conversation's good or you need more information and you want to continue it to another time. The next topic is recognition by the chair. This is very, very important. Again, Robert's rules, it's designed to set up respect between the chair and the board members and vice versa. Your chair is going to be in charge of leading the meeting for you, and you all are going to respect that position. And likewise, the chair is going to respect you, and they're going to recognize every single board member. Every board member should get equal time. But we don't want to allow board members just to speak over others, interrupt the chair, talk whenever they want. It's not appropriate. So I would ask that, before you speak, you get recognized by the chair to do so. You can motion to the chair, raise your hand slightly. We do have the buttons on the computer that you can use to light up your screen. The councilman can show you. It's a little switch. It should light up the chair's screen and show a green light on your seat. That will help the chair know that you want to speak. Also, too, once a motion is made and seconded and you all are in discussion, the chair, as I said, should respect the other board members too. And the chair should go through each board member and see who has comments and who doesn't. In a good practice is nobody should speak twice unless everybody has gotten a chance to speak one time. So recognition by the chair is really important. That helps move the meetings along smoothly. And the last topic I want to cover with y'all is adjournment of meetings. Hopefully nobody wants to adjourn right now, but it's very easy. I've been in meetings before where people think they have to go through the formal process of a motion, a second, a vote to adjourn a meeting. You do not. Whoever is your chair, once the business is concluded, so that's all the items on your agenda are concluded, the chair can just adjourn the meeting. Say business is concluded, meeting adjourned. A lot of times, out of respect for the rest of the board, the chair will ask for a courtesy motion. Can I have a motion to adjourn? And somebody will throw out, so moved, and then the meeting will be done. You don't need the full second of the motion, vote, and then you adjourn. So you can handle it one of those two ways. Whoever is your chair, they can just adjourn the meeting or do the courtesy, ask for a motion. So those are the most common Robert's rules that you're going to run across. Again, like I said, don't let Robert's rules of order strangle you and strangle your ability to get business done. Again, they're mostly guidelines for us to have a smooth and efficient meeting. So with that said, I'll be happy to answer any questions anybody has on Sunshine Law, Public Records Law, or Robert's Rules. Y'all good? All right.
Jennifer, just to let
Yes.
you know two things. I did make a kind of a cheat sheet for everybody, very subverted kind of piece
Sure.
that you can look for Robert's Rules to kind of get to the pieces that we probably address in our meeting here just to help. And then secondly, if we needed your just clarification, should we go through the clerk or just can we contact you directly? Or
Yes, if you could go through the clerk's office, and normally Diane's not here. A clerk by the name of Jacqueline's going to be here. So if you had any questions, just give those questions to Jacqueline and we'll make sure that they get answered for you.
Thank you.
No problem. A lot of times, too, just one other point to make to you all. This board is a little more discussion-based than some of our other boards. You know, you don't have applications in front of you that you have to approve like our council or a planning and zoning commission does. So there's more opportunity for consensus building here rather than motion and votes. So if the chair feels like a consensus is more appropriate in certain circumstances, that's okay too. And you don't have to take a formal vote. But that's really up to the chair how they kind of lead the meeting. All right, well, thank you very much. I know you
Thank
got
you,
a lot to do.
Jennifer.
All right,
Thank you,
thanks.
Thank you. We'll move on to item number 3, selection of chair and vice chair. Do we have a nomination for the chair position?
I would like to, please.
Would you like to make a motion?
I would
or-
like to make a motion.
Go ahead.
I become the chair, thank you.
Pardon me?
I'd like to make a motion, Chair?
Go right ahead. Who were you making a motion to appoint?
I'll make it.
Pardon me?
Hmm?
I think I believe you want to be nominated
I'd
as
be
chair.
nominated as chair, that's what I said.
Would anyone else make that motion?
Or second motion, right?
I was about to say yes.
Well, I need a motion. Please state your, you make a
To
motion.
Nominate Bill as chair.
And I need a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye, A or nay.
Yay.
So the motion passes 5-0. Bill, you are the new chair.
Thank you, everyone.
And I'll move on to the vice chair, and then I'll turn the meeting over to you. Do we have a nomination for vice chair, or a motion for vice chair? Is anyone willing to volunteer as vice chair? Well, will someone please make a motion to appoint Crystal?
Motion for Crystal to be vice chair.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does the motion carry 5-0? Yes. Okay. Thank you all, and I will turn this over now to your new chairman, Bill.
Thank you, Diane. So the next order of business here is calendar. Everybody take your calendar out. We're going to look at dates. And Diane, again, it's just this, you have a sheet for this already, correct? So if you take this sheet out, look at your calendars and take this sheet out. And what we're looking at is just finding the dates everybody's amenable, because there's some holidays and some things moving. Schools are out, so we want to make sure that we get to that consensus about when the dates will be. So if we're looking here at our next meeting, the 10th, their school is out, so we're looking at the 17th. Is that a problem for anyone? Good, good, good. Crystal, good. Steve, good? Everybody
I have
good?
no problem.
Okay, great. And then the next one is Columbus Day. So we'd have to move that the 1st or the 15th. Does anyone have a preference, the 1st or the 15th? Julie, do you have a preference one way or the other? Or does it make a difference looking at your calendar, your personal calendars?
I'm fine either.
Either one, how about you? No problem, either one? Same with you?
No
Same
problem.
with you? Why don't we do the 15th? Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. And the November one is on Veterans Day, so that's the 12th. There's no school on the 19th, so it looks like the only day here is the 13th. So does anybody have a problem looking at your calendars on the 13th? Nope, everybody good? Okay. Kind of helps me a little bit if we can all eye to eye, so I can make sure we get everybody's, I want to make sure we get everybody's input. This is a group decision here, so we make sure we're good here. December on the 10th, is the 10th, looks like we're okay as a regular time, okay? January, there will not be a meeting. And then the 11th, February, that's a regular date, so we should be good there. And then we get into March, that's, it doesn't look like it, is that a regular the 4th, Diane, or?
Regular meeting would be the 12th, that is unavailable because of elections.
Of elections, right.
So we'd like to move it to March 4th.
So March 4th, anybody have a problem with March 4th? Nope, everybody good? Good, good, okay. March 4th it is. Such an easy group to work with, I like this. So the April meeting, this is a special meeting, right? So this is, do we need to determine that? Okay, that'll be determined, so we'll leave that up in the air. And then the 13th is a regular one in May. We collectively have the greatest sigh of our life. We did great work, and it'll be a lot more fun, so we'll keep that there. So do I have a motion to okay the calendar dates?
I move that we accept the calendar dates.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, okay. The calendar is set as soon. Diane, thank you for all your work on that. All in favor? Forgot it.
Aye.
Say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Okay, that's 5-0, okay. So moving on to the next one, this is a fun one. So we've got the logistical piece out of the way. Let's talk about school liaisons. And this is a piece where we really want to get to know the schools and help the schools and get them to know what we do, so we can kind of really extend our vision and kind of really hear their needs. So I'd like to open this to, there's 7 schools here and there's 6 of us here. So does anybody have a preference for which school? Let's start here, dear.
I'd like to take Royal Palm Beach Elementary.
Oh, Beach Elementary. Everybody okay with that?
I'd like an elementary.
I'm sorry?
And I prefer an elementary.
You would? Okay, thank you, Steve. Appreciate that.
I prefer-
I prefer high school.
You're for high school. I got a high school here for Crystal. I have an elementary there for Steve. I have a,
I prefer H.L. Johnson.
okay. Let me get you, so I got you Royal Palm Beach. Okay, let's put you there. H.L. Johnson, we have you there. So that will be Julie. Okay, and Steve, you want another an elementary school, right? Do you have one that makes sense to you? Anyone on the list here?
Is there another one?
Cypress Trails,
Where is it?
number 2.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense to you?
I've never seen it, so it's fine.
Well, that'll be great then. It's a good perspective on both. Yeah. Thank you for growing in the meeting. This is great. I like it. So, and then let's get you squared away. And you need to go. Tell me where you need to go.
Well, the elementaries are gone, so can I do a charter then?
Sure. So you, Pamela, you'd like to do the Western Academy Charter? Or Renaissance? Okay. We are there. So that is for Tim. Do you go by Pamela or Pam?
Pam is fine.
Great, okay, thank you. And then the high school, so we got to, you want the high school? Great, okay, Crystal, we'll put you on the high school. So that leaves me, the Western Academy. We have 2 schools left. So there's a charter school here in the middle schools. Anybody have another preference for the middle school or? I'm sorry, Pam? Well, I'm happy to do that, absolutely. So I will take the middle school, and I will take Western Academy Charter School, okay? If somebody else would like one of those, and you have more than that, I'm really open to helping you give your influence into what we're doing here and kind of hear the needs, okay? All right, so let me go over one more time just so we're clear. Crestwood Middle is myself, Bill. Cypress Trails Elementary, that's Steve. And then HL is Julie. And then Renaissance Charter, that's going to be Pam. Royal Palm Beach Elementary, that'll be Dwayne. And then Royal Palm Beach High School will be Crystal. And then the Western Academy Charter School will be me. Okay? Do I have a motion to accept that our assignments are set for each school?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that the assignments for the schools be accepted as so spoken.
Thank you, Chris. Do we have a second?
Second.
We do. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? No? Great. Okay, schools are done. So the planning year's done, the schools are done. Real quick, Councilman O'Meara, do you have any just little quick pearls about this, how we liaison and some best practices we probably could learn from real quick about this particular role we're taking on?
Well, as you we talked about the resolution and the idea of a school liaison being pretty much along the lines of just becoming personally engaged with key players like the principal at each one of the schools, get to know the principal, attend different events. There are occasions when initiatives are rolled out, something new in the school, whether it be a new aspect of a STEM program or something of that nature, and usually that's a great way to get some real insight into where their school is going. Attending a PTO meeting is also a great way. A SAC meeting, another great opportunity. And then something that I enjoy doing is attending sporting events with the school. So it's another way to get some really good insight. And of course, if they have concerts of any sort, those kinds of things are what what has allowed me anyway to get some real insight into what the schools are all about, perhaps what their needs are, and most importantly, building a relationship with key individuals.
Thank you, Councilman. Just from the chair's perspective, just how we hope to work together and kind of my leadership style a little bit here, I think we've got some really smart people here who are very invested. And I think we work tons better as a group in a transformative way than we do in a transactional way. I think we know who we represent, the children of our school system and the teachers and systems. So let's all work together and really, some of what I do in life is teach efficiency in meetings. So let's make sure that everybody wants to hear what you said. Their passion is why you're here. You're volunteering. So let's get to the point. Let's communicate clearly so both sides understand, right? And then cogently, like there's a thought and a purpose for what we're saying. And concisely, let's kind of frame our thoughts and we get to say what we have to say. And continuous. Let's talk all the time. So that way we can serve the best of our community here. So that's from me. So we look forward to working and serving together. And I have no more business. So anyone can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Great. Welcome. Well, thanks, everyone.